All right, everybody, we are here at the duck camp.
Yeah, the duck camp. Is my mic okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I had to have my headphones turned down because it was blasting me. Yeah, we met the duck camp at the Piazza Sportsman Show 2 or 3 weeks ago. And we started talking waterfowl pretty much right away because Scott had a call that his buddy makes. And this thing, I pretty much flew over to the booth and was like, you called me in, how much, take my money.
It did not take long. It was actually pretty fun.
So we got to talking about, all things waterfowl, and they started a business in Snohomish
February.
County. Yeah, in February. Why don't you tell us about the duck camp and what your guys' goal looks like?
So when we started this, it was 3 buddies that have 3 boys, and we had like 2 pieces of property. We had maybe 600 acres. We were going to stay in a crappy motel, and it was just going to be 3 buddies and 3 kids. And it's exploded since then. So now we're at 5,300 acres leased in the Skagit Valley. The lodge, which we're sitting in. And we've become really passionate about trying to introduce more and more people into our lifestyle that we have with our kids. And it has been a roller coaster, but it's been fast and it is a lot of fun.
Keep on going. You're good. Keep on going.
Sorry, folks. We're getting something hooked up here. So the lifestyle, we were talking about waterfowlers in general. And our first conversation was just about how much I love waterfowl. I'm an avid waterfowl hunter. Obviously, you guys are as well, to the 10th degree. Not just like me saying, "Oh, I'm an avid waterfowl." How many days did you hunt this year? Like guided hunts?
Oh, I probably guided 70 days and then probably hunted another 30 for fun.
Yeah, geez. And today we went out. This is your last hunt of the year.
Yep.
And we did a snow goose hunt. What is it? It's called a conservation hunt.
I'm not sure if they call this one a conservation hunt or not. It's more of just a late season snow goose. They raised the limit up to 20 birds, but I would consider conservation no plug, no limit, get her done. But it's a little bit different in Washington. About the only difference between regular season and this last 2 weeks is we get to use electronic collars, which we don't get to use during the normal season.
Yeah, and the electronic collars, for people that haven't experienced that, you hear it when it's off. like it's going and going, and at one point you hear a crying baby, and the next moment you hear it's like, is that a truck driving by? It just does things to your mind when you hear that call over and over, and the birds like it though, and that's what we like.
Yeah, the birds do like it, but it's a lot of noise, man. It's a long day doing that.
And the call we use, it's to mimic a whole flock of snow geese. So you could imagine, we have some videos we'll post later with the snow geese, but there was flocks, probably, how many would you think? So I'm not a good estimation, but
there were a few hundred flying over our head a few dozen times.
Yeah, I would say that first initial flight we had this morning was probably 2,000 to 3,000 birds.
At the end of the day, when that last bit, how many was in there, do you think?
When they landed in the field with us? Oh, there's probably 3,000 birds in that group.
Wow. Yeah, so when 3,000 birds are all talking at the same time, you can imagine what that sounds like. Then you put it into a recorder, and you play it by yourself. and you hear all that noise for, a couple hours. But there is times when we turn it off, when the birds aren't around, and then when we see them, we'll cut that thing back on. So the strategy is to mimic our spread, which was how many decoys?
We had out 2,300 decoys today.
Which is a lot. You're looking at it, I was like, this hurts my back looking at it. Because I've pulled decoys and, they're all on stakes and some are full bodies and, it's a ton of work.
Yeah, but the crazy part is yesterday afternoon when I was scouting the birds, our 2,300 decoys looks like a dime compared to what's in the field. The field we hunted today, maybe, what would you guys say, 80 yards maybe from one end to the other?
It was probably a little bit larger than that, but yeah, guesstimation somewhere in between 80 and like 130 probably.
Yeah, and yesterday the birds was from fence to fence in
Full.
in a 200-acre pasture. Yeah,
Full, like
Full.
Yeah.
crazy full.
Yeah,
So
that's nuts.
we had like one little flock out in front of us, but the day before there was probably like 20-some thousand birds in that same field that we're in.
what'd you
It's
guys
crazy.
think about how much damage they do to the crop?
So
Especially for you, since
Yeah.
you were here last week.
I was here last weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and the field that we were in was all grass. It was perfect, nice grass color. Come back the next weekend, which supposedly they had only been in that field for a couple days.
Yeah.
They weren't in there all week.
No.
It was decimated. You could tell because we left the decoys up. It was like the only green patch left in this whole field that we're hunting. So imagine the crop that these farmers are trying to farm, and these geese just go in and just decimate everything. Like it was decimated. Like you could definitely tell the different color in the grass.
It wasn't just a color that you're seeing. To me, looking at it today, I took a picture of it because I was like, "This is crazy that this took place in 1 week." Mm-hmm. When you have the grass we were in with the decoys in our layout blinds was probably 4 to 5 inches tall, and the rest of the field was like a ½ inch and mainly mud and some stubble. So I mean, it not only was it brown, but it was mud,
Yeah.
and the rest of it was nice. Where we were sitting was really nice green grass, and that grass we were sitting in, it's not a crop like a traditional crop like corn or soybeans or something like that you would have a tangible thing from. This grass was being used for silage, correct?
Yeah, so that grass is called orchard grass, and we have 8 fields on this 690-acre dairy that is strictly used for cattle food, dairy food, and it's silage. And talking to the dairyman, those birds do $125,000 annually in crop damage.
And they're not even here for a year. They're here for a short part of the year.
They get here in October, they're gone by middle of March.
Yeah, so that's a lot of damage right away. But that food is being fed to the dairy cows, and the guy puts out, what was it, 5,000 gallons a week of milk?
I don't know how much a week, but it's a full tanker truck a day.
That's a lot of dang milk.
Yeah, that's a lot of milk. What
Yeah.
was it, 900 cows or something?
Yeah, he raises 900 cows in that dairy.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So the birds are stealing what the farmer needs in order to either sell it to market so people can have food, or feed some animal so they can produce a product so people can have milk or meat or some other byproduct of the like.
Well, and what we're talking about now is why the duck camp has exploded with how we get property, right? A lot of people came to us at the Sportsman Show, hey, you leased this property that I used to get to hunt for free. And what a lot of people don't understand, what we're doing at duck camp is we're working with the farmer to not only deal with crop damage by keeping the birds off his property, but we're working with Ducks Unlimited, the Conservation District, to make their property better. We do things for them. We're putting rock in one little parking spot because it gets muddy from us driving in and out all the time. And so when that word got out in the valley that that's what we're doing, we get at least a phone call a week saying, hey, do you want to lease our ground? And can you help us? Because that's what a lot of people don't understand about sportsmen in general, right? We're the biggest conservations on the planet. And just on the property we're sitting in today, we have 4 Ducks Unlimited Conservation District projects that are funded and going to be done so that the farmers can get on their property earlier. It produces waterfowl and wildlife habitat. It's good for the shorebirds. It's good for the salmon. And if it wasn't for that, there wouldn't be any habitat left because it'd all be farmed. But my next door neighbor, well, the 2 fields here, you guys saw how much water's in them.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 DU projects we're doing is to get the water off faster so they can grow spuds on them this spring.
Yeah, those fields they have standing water right now.
Yeah.
And it's, probably looking at it, you would think it's probably at least 6 inches.
But with the duck camp, you guys are going to try to help, the farmer to where, that water is going to recede quicker.
Yep.
Some projects coming up to help that out. And then, the farmer can get in there and do what they need to do to, start early or basically on time, really.
Yeah. And, a lot of the biggest producing crop in this valley is potatoes, the little red yellows that you buy
those are
in
my
the store.
favorites.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And just to give you guys an idea, the farmer makes $10,000 an acre off of those potatoes. The other 2 years that they grow barley and corn, because they have to do a crop rotation, they can only do potatoes once every 3 years. But if we don't get this water off, they don't plant potatoes.
Yeah.
And they lose $10,000 an acre. In the other 2 years, they're just hoping to break even.
So you're just paying rent, really.
Yeah.
They're just paying rent. And farming is a hard life. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
You can, across the nation, it's not easy. And it sounds to me like the cooperative between the Ducks Unlimited, the conservation districts, other wildlife conservancies, they have funds available that will help the farmer and improve what they want to improve as far as duck and wildlife habitat, shorebird habitat, salmon and wildlife, other wildlife habitats in the process. So this money and these funds that they have slated for these projects through the various donations or fundraising they do, they'll use to do these projects to help farmers. In turn, they help each other so that cooperative works well.
Oh, yeah, and the gentleman that we leased this house from in several acres, every time he buys a farm, he puts it in a conservation easement. So this will look like this 200 years from now. And it's really important to that guy to make sure we're, I guess, maintaining that lifestyle here in the U.S. The guy that runs the dairy now, he's a 29-year-old kid that had to go take a bank loan to run a dairy. And it's very important to me and the owner to make sure that young man's successful. I mean, a 29-year-old kid biting off a business like that is pretty cool and something you don't see much in this world today.
Very admirable. And it's important to society. Dairies are like, in essence, a backbone.
Well, just that and starting a farm, right?
Yeah.
Like usually, like a large farm, you've already been doing it, or you've grown up in it, and then like your grandparents or your parents are retiring, and then now you're getting it. And for someone to like start from scratch, dude, that says something right there.
Well, and that's the hard part for these farmers. A lot of people don't understand. I mean, to buy just farm ground in this valley is $11,000 an acre.
Dang.
Right? If you go north to Whatcom County, it's going for $22,000 to $25,000 an acre.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how we can continue to grow our own crops to feed the United States, because there's not going to be any young kids that can get into it unless it's generational.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's just getting so expensive, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, a 200-acre plot, which we were on today, would be like $4.5 million or something crazy.
Well, the dairy that we hunted today is $690.
Oh,
Total.
so yeah, I don't even want to do the math on it. It's like $15 million.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
You're sitting there like, $15 million.
Yeah, and
That's
it's got the state-of-the-art milking parlor and all kinds of stuff in it. So
And
yeah,
when you look at it, you would say, who would spend that kind of money for this ground? If it was on the market, who would buy it? Like I don't know who the buyer would be.
well, yeah, I don't either.
It'd be
Dairy Gold,
Well, to grow potatoes at $10,000 an acre,
dude.
I mean, it's like
They
every
probably
3 years.
wouldn't be doing that anymore. But that's who would end up buying it, and that's who we don't want buying it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you drive through Ellensburg, it's not English on those hay barns over there
Nope.
anymore.
Yeah, that's a bad sign. I'm going to keep the ground here used for what it's supposed to be used for, and not up to some other ideas and change what's going on to this valley.
So, and that's the cool thing about what we're doing, right? It's not just about the ducks and the geese that we kill. It's about helping the community. You know, you guys met Cole today. Mm-hmm. He works for me part-time. He's a 20-year-old kid. That's what he does for a living. He's a farmer. The next door neighbor, we lease his ground. His daughter works for me. We buy local beef. We buy local pork. We were talking about Dr. Brian, one of my partners today, you know, buying a pig. A couple of our other members bought a pig from Cole. Our freezer's full of Cole's beef.
Yeah, we had some last night.
Yeah, delicious.
What do you mean last night? You guys had it delivered to
to
the field today.
Oh, yeah, that is right. Oh, my gosh, yeah.
The gift that keeps
you guys
giving.
have you don't understand. We had our lunch delivered to us to our duck blinds, like, while we're in,
Hot.
It was,
and it was hot.
Hot.
We had to let it cool down. It was that hot.
It was so good. But it was necessary.
Yeah, it was a cold day. Today was a cold day.
It was a little frosty this morning, yeah.
And so that hot meal was right on. You know, I was like, man, the only thing missing was a little butter for the bread. That's all. And that's for Dr. Brian. I feel that for him.
But, you know, that's the fun part about what we do is, you know, twice this year we had pizza delivered to the blind, you know, which means I wasn't doing a very good job because we should have had our limit by lunch. Or weather wasn't very conducive that day. But, you know, the cool thing about what we do, most people, when they leave here, we don't talk about the birds that get shot. We talk about the fun stuff that we get into. You know, you guys met Jesse today. You hunted with him last week.
Yeah.
You know, last weekend of the season, we got every vehicle I own stuck. You know, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a pain in the butt getting it all out, but it was a lot of fun just experience getting that out. I mean, my boy had to push my quad out of the mud like 4 times to get it out of the field. And that tell you how wet it gets out here, right? And, of course, you guys saw me today when I got on the quad, came back, my white Tavac suit was brown. It's pretty muddy, and that's the cool part about what we do. We don't ever tell stories about how many birds we shot or this cool shot. It's about what we do sitting here at this table, what we do out in the field, the fun stuff we do together. And that's why we call it duck camp, right? Sit around a fireplace and talk and have good times. And, you know, a couple weeks ago, well, you were here last Friday night, I think, right? Yep. We had guys that were retired business owners. Mm-hmm. We had guys that are blue-collar guys, and everybody sitting around duck camp, and there's no pressure from anybody to be anything other than yourself. And that's the special part of this, really, is that we can all sit around from different cultures, ethnic groups, and there's nothing in the way. Right?
Yeah,
and that's the really cool part.
It's just simple conversation and just everybody's just hanging out, really just waiting for the next morning. Just anxious.
Don't get me wrong, we kill a lot of birds. So, I think this year we killed, today, with what we killed today, we killed just over 4,000 birds this season.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, that's a lot of experiences people got to receive too, you know, and those whole, to me, you know, I've been here for 24 hours and it feels like when you're a kid and you go to summer camp and you're there for a week and a half. I feel like I've been here for a week and a half because it's so much has happened in such a short period of time, and the relationships, they seem like they just connect naturally. It's not show up to the lodge and go, oh yeah, here's your room, get your stuff, get over there and do this. It's not very regimented in that fashion to where you feel like any pressure. You show up, hey, here's this, here's that, bathrooms here, here's the bedrooms, which one would you like to stay in? Yep, right there, make yourself at home. You know, and you're here in your home, and it feels really good.
Yeah, and it's like, if anybody is like, I'm going to date myself, but if anybody had watched the old show Cheers, that's kind of how it was. Like, you walk in, like, hey, Dave, and then, like, call us, like, Dave Squared or whatever, because we both walk in, and, it's just like, man, it's like home, and it's like family, and it's really, really awesome.
Well, thank you. It's been a lot of fun, and we got some cool stories. I didn't get to I wasn't at the Sportsman Show on Saturday because I was hunting a group of veterans, and we hunted those guys. 2 in particular, we hunted like 5 times this year, and the first day they came out, it was tough. I think we picked everything up and moved 3 times trying to get on the birds. And picking up a panel blind with, I don't know what we have out, 5 dozen full body ducks that day. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and they're not real chipper. They weren't a lot of help. Let's just put it that way. And but the next day we really got on them, and it's so cool because on Sunday, those guys came to the Sportsman Show to deliver me a picture of when we had a 7-man limit of 49 ducks. And I just thought I got chills, when those guys came all the way down to the show to bring that to me. And it just shows how much fun we have. When we're out doing it. They stayed here at the lodge. It was my pleasure to take veterans out, hunting it, and that's kind of what we're all about, right? Is getting right people here. One of the things we'll be doing next year. Now we can get into the commercial a little bit. We're going to be doing rookie hunts next year, and
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. That's going to be exciting.
Because last weekend, Dave was the rookie.
That's right. I was.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And now, we talked about duck hunting on this show 15 times probably.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, man, it's like one of the best things you can do. I love duck hunting. It's so fun. The way you do it, you're in there with your buddies. You get up super early. You get up before the sun comes up. You're in the blind. You hear the birds flying in the dark a lot of times. And you're just totally prepared. And you get the whole experience wrapped up in a nutshell. Is a great time. Not so much like other hunts that are really still fun, like deer hunting and elk hunting. They're just different. And you get the excitement at a certain time, but in duck hunting, it's like instant. Usually, unless you have to move everything 3 times, right?
So work.
But generally, you're in the blind. You hear them. You start calling them in a little bit. Then the sun comes, and you're just waiting for that time, right? So last weekend, Dave shows up, and I was texting him because had a family thing. And I was like, how's it going? He's like, sending me pictures like, so how's it going? Send me more pictures like, this guy's not saying nothing.
Last Saturday was a little bit of work, too. We had to haul 2,500 decoys 100 yards. It wasn't fun. It was work.
Yeah, that was quite a bit of work. But it was also a learning experience, too, because I had never done it before, ever. And this isn't a duck hunt. It was for geese. So it's completely different. And then it's snow geese, which come in droves of hundreds of thousands just freaking flying over your head
like military planes.
Yeah, so you're just kind of like, holy, like this is what's going. It's for real. Like this is you have exciting. Some coming in low, up high, like some like in the clouds. You're just like, holy crap! There's like a million different layers of them. Like, dang.
There was a lot of birds last Saturday.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah.
So the end of the day, I texted him the next day, and I was like, so how'd it go over the weekend? He's like, I said, are you a duck hunter? He's like, I'm a duck man. So he was hooked right away.
Yeah, I'm addicted. Like Dave was like, dude, you gotta
I need to buy a shotgun. I need an autoloader. I gotta buy these waders. I gotta get this. And I was like, hold on a minute. Let's practice calls first. Let's get them calling in first. But
I don't need any of that. I got Scott over here, man.
Yeah. It's so the one of the reasons why the rookie hunt's important to us is, and I don't want to ruffle any feathers, but when you get on social media and you get on a duck hunting waterfowl forum and somebody says, can somebody just send me in the right direction of where I should go hunt?
Oh, and they get blasted for it. Yeah, I don't like that either.
Blasted.
I always try to help somebody out. I won't tell them exactly like, you need to go here, but I'm like, do a little bit of research. But if you have any questions, man, send me an email or hit me up because I'll help you out as best I can without giving you my spot.
Yeah. And so what we're going to do with it is when we did it for a group this year, We're going to bring everybody out here. We have 3 skeet throwers, and we're going to put people in layout blinds. We're going to put them in panel blinds. We have a special way to hunt that I'm not going to share on this podcast. If you want to learn, you can come
or
watch
any
us.
other podcast.
Yeah, or any other podcast for that matter, yeah. But obviously there's different ways to shoot, right,
Yeah.
and how to get up quick. As you've learned, it's very important to know how to get up quickly.
Yeah, I learned fast.
Yeah.
Like real fast. Like it was probably like the second or third time birds came in. I was like, all right, when Scott says shoot, I already need to be shooting. Like there's already birds flying out of the air, like cartwheeling through the sky. Like, whoa.
But one of the things that most people that come here, they duck hunt all year long, right? They come here for a special experience to get on some ground where, I say all the time, we don't hunt ducks, we farm them, right?
Yeah,
we leave food in the fields. We spend a lot of time and money cultivating our own stuff for the waterfowl. But we're going to talk about what are you looking for when you're scouting, right? Which you got to experience with me last week, right?
Yep.
And we kind of did a little special trick last week, and we hunted south of our main property, but we put decoys in the field I wanted to hunt on Sunday, so when we shot them down there, they'd come up here. If we come up here at 1 o'clock, there's 10,000 birds in that field we hunted today, and we got to watch them for a little bit. But we're going to talk about all that, right? And you can find millions of YouTube videos about how to blow a duck call. But nobody tells you when and how,
What it means.
how to read the birds, how they react differently. You saw it today when I turned on the e-collar and that one bird just like
The goose reacted to it. Yeah.
negatively.
Yeah,
right,
yep,
right.
yeah, he flinched.
And so as a waterfowl hunter, you got to recognize that, and if you got one coming, don't turn it on next time. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to do all of that for a half a day, and then we'll take people out hunting the next day. So we ran a special during the show where we're going to do a giveaway for a parent and a kid to come up and hunt. I was only going to give away 2, but we wound up giving up 3. But that's all right. It is what it is. My partners get me in trouble all the time when they. Mark Miller, one of my other partners, had 4 people call me this year, and I told him I'm not guiding anymore, dude. I'm booked. I can't do it. And they called him. Mark told me to tell you I got a kid. All right, what day you want to go? When do you want to go? Let's go. And that's something that I'm super passionate about because I see people all the time. Because I've had people ask me, "You're a guide. Why would you give up your secrets?" Again, it gets back to conservation, right? Because there's waterfowl ethics that play into that. I hear people that get into waterfowl hunting, right? And they hunt public ground, and they kill 2 ducks all season.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, and I see it all the time. You got a group here and a group here, and they're 100 yards apart, and there's birds over this guy's decoys, and this guy's calling at them, and nobody kills any ducks. Mm-hmm. So we talk a lot about those ethics. If they're working that guy's decoys, leave them alone.
Yeah, there's more ducks.
There's plenty of birds for everybody, And, we talk about things. I'll tell a funny story about my son. We were hunting last year, I believe, and we had 6 guys. My son helps me guide a lot. He's 17. And we had like 50 mallards at 20 yards. And I didn't call the shot. And somebody in the blind must have said something, like, why didn't he call the shot? And my son said, oh, yeah, we don't shoot at flocks that big. And the guy asked why, and he goes, isn't that right, Dad? And I'm like, oh, dude, you started it, you finish it. If you're going to pop off, let's see what you know. And he started talking about with 6 guys, if we're lucky, we're going to kill 12 ducks.
Yeah.
Right? So we just educated, 12, 30, how many ever birds are in that flock. And it's not just to come back to there, but those birds are smart enough to know, oh, there's a spinning wing.
Yeah.
I've been there, done that, right? And so we talk about those ethics, which should help all waterfowlers, not just me, not just the guy I'm teaching, but everybody be able to kill more birds.
Yeah, when you take an animal and you you show it something, and you're trying to imitate something that should be natural to them, like a spinning wing, like what do they call it, a spinny duck or goey duck or whatever you show them one of these spinners, and then you call them in and you shoot at their buddies, and they have a preservation tactic, which is to get the heck out of there as quick as possible. And when they do, they remember, like, if I see another one of these things on another stand down the way, I'm not coming in, right? I've seen this before, and they recognize those type of things. So, in essence, by not shooting at those, you're giving somebody else an opportunity. And the ones that come in when they're in smaller numbers, you're going to probably get most of them. You're going to maybe one or two might get away.
Yep. And, I mean, you guys hunted today. We saw, I don't know, 30, 40,000 birds today, probably total. All day.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
They are educated.
Yeah.
They are educated.
Everybody will see it on YouTube, so you're going to see it.
Well, I started to develop this observations in nature, right? I'm like observing these birds. I'm like, okay, once they take off like that, they're hitting the stratosphere. They're not looking to come down, but when the ones would come in, like we were calling little groups off of them when they were on their way up, we had a good chance at playing those birds. The ones that were continuing to climb, and they started getting to a formation, I was like, oh no. I like when they started running into each other because they were trying to land.
Right, yeah.
The front ones were trying to slow down, the back ones were flying too fast. I was like, oh, now we got some action. All sorts of things you observe that were spinning the wheels in my brain going, oh, this is what's happening here, and this is what's happening here. And I just, there were so many times when I was like, we could have shot that, but we didn't because there was a larger group behind it. I mean, we had 5 guys at one point or 6 guys at one point.
I think we had 10 this morning.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I mean, we had those 2 birds that I think you probably could have caught one by the foot.
Yeah.
That we didn't call the shot on.
It was because there was 10 behind.
There was 300 in the air.
Right.
Yeah, so it was crazy.
And they're doing their thing, and you had a better chance at everybody getting
a better shot.
Yeah, it was like, you kind of sacrifice one for the 100. Mm-hmm. So that was.
Well, on that note, we're going to take a quick break. Hey everybody, if you are looking for a game call that is elk, turkey, deer, predator calls, waterfowl calls, we highly recommend PhillipsGameCalls.com. Professional grade game calls made for every hunter. All right, everybody, we're back from break. I know it was only a second for you guys and 2 minutes for us. But so this is the last weekend. We're only down to the last few days of waterfowl hunting. So what's next for the duck camp?
Well, so number one project we got going, it gets back to helping the farmers. The dairy has 3 pit blinds in it that we're going to be pulling, which takes a lot of heavy equipment.
Explain what that is.
So a pit blind, we have dug into some fields back here. Mm-hmm. They're metal. We need to get them out so we get them cleaned up, sealed back up, put in different spots. And we will be killing snow geese out of them next year, so we won't be hiding in the decoys, which will make our lives a lot easier.
You can move around a little bit.
I'm probably gonna come up and film that project, just because snow goose was my first waterfowl kill, so now that's like, I want to see what else we can do.
Oh yeah. So we're working on some projects in the back of the dairy, like we're pulling some fences along some of those ditches, so we can get the road pushed over a little bit, which is going to give. It's not a lot, but the dairymen will probably pick up 2 acres in farmable ground.
That's good. That's quite a bit.
Just by moving the road over, it helps us because we have the duck shack out there that we talked about, right?
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
Oh yeah, so
the duck shack. Let me talk about it. Go ahead. No, Scott, talk about the duck shack. I'm excited about it. I need everybody to know.
Yeah.
Well, Dave didn't get in it today.
No.
So we'll have to make a special trip just so that we can show Dave the duck shack, but go ahead, Scott.
I want to hear
'cause
the
it's-
dream of the duck shack. I'm going to shut my eyes and imagine this thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, so we'll start with this. After this summer, we're remodeling the house first, right? And getting a couple more showers, more beds, new windows, everything in the lodge this summer. And building some guide quarters to kind of get the guides and the dogs away from the house a little bit. But next year, kind of a cool story. The original owner of the dairy loved a bar in Conway called the Conway Tavern. They got ready to close it down, and he didn't want to take that he couldn't drink there anymore, I guess. So the story goes he floated it down the Skagit River and stuck it back at the dairy.
So that's the duck shack.
Yep, overlooking Skagit Bay, and the back porch actually walks out onto the levee.
Wow.
And
beautiful. Yeah,
and that's kind of
it's
where
amazing.
It's kind of where our logo comes from because it's gorgeous sunrises and sunsets out there.
Yeah, which is on our Instagram. So if you haven't seen it yet, it's on Instagram and Facebook. Just look up Ridgeline Hunting or the Ridgeline Hunting Podcast on Facebook or Instagram. It's all on there because it was basically this morning's sunrise.
I was wondering if it was today's.
That was today.
Today's was incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely
super.
beautiful.
Well, Scott, so I'm getting everything ready. I'm like, it's go time. And he's like, man, he turns around and he's just like, check out that sunrise. And I was like, oh, man, the clouds are like cotton candy.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah, sometimes you have to take, a second and just breathe it all in.
Yeah.
Like there's more than just hunting geese or ducks or the waterfowl, man. You got to take it all in.
It's
like
an
all
it's
that
a-
stuff
it's-
is like a
It's an experience, man. It's
yeah.
crazy.
Every hunt is, but take that time to
Just to
just
see
look at everything.
just to see what God created.
Oh, man, beautiful.
It's stunning.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have some awesome scenery too. It's not just a valley. There's mountains.
No, there's mountains. You're like
mountains.
surrounded by mountains. I mean, you have the mountains and then the valley and then the
Olympic
bay.
Mountains. You can see
Yeah.
the Olympics from the fields. Is that Mount Baker up here?
Yeah.
You can see the tip of Mount Baker, which
Yeah.
is a large portion of it. Snow cap. There's foothills to the north. I think it's like Vancouver, BC. You can see the mountains up there.
Yep.
So there's a lot of scenery, and when you get all those different, I guess, depths of view, with the sun hitting it in the right way, and you're in this farmland, it's like there's a definite spiritual connection here. And actually, Cole said this morning, him and his buddy, and he goes, "Yep, this is why we live here."
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it's-
Just yesterday morning, me and Cole went and picked up a bunch of 50-gallon drums to make floating blinds out of this summer. And we just both stopped where we were getting them, and the view, it was so clear yesterday. The view of the Olympic Mountains yesterday morning was absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Stunning.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's it's beautiful up here. It really is. It's really nice. I like it up here. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Everything's nice. It's crazy.
So back to the duck shack. So
Yeah.
the duck shack, this is all secondhand stories for me, but from what I've been told, it was built in the late 1800s. There was a picture in it that the original owner recently took out. I got a picture of it before they took it, but it was a picture of a bunch of guys sitting at the bar in 1927.
Jeez.
And the goal for us is we're going to remodel it back to that state of that picture.
By 2027? Is that the timeline?
We'll have it done summer of 2025.
So you should have a recreation of that same photo in 27, like 100 years apart.
Yeah.
No, that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. No.
Yeah, if you have
I
the
hadn't thought
photo
about
and you
that.
have
Yeah.
them side by side.
Yeah, that
you
would
know.
be awesome to have
Yeah.
that in there. Yeah. So, but the original bar is still in it.
Yep.
And it's off grid, so we're gonna. The goal is to make that to where all our clients can go out and have dinner out there and drinks, and it's got a big bay window. It overlooks two of our pit blinds. I kind of got visions of people that flying from out of state and their wives sitting at the duck shack drinking a mimosa, looking out the bay window, watching their husbands shoot ducks.
Yeah, you
and,
could-
and make it a family thing.
Yeah, and it's far enough away they could be there and not interfere with the hunt.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Because that's the other part that's important to us. For me especially, my wife comes up here quite a bit and hunts, and which is really, really cool. to have her up here. She had a really cool experience this year. We were hunting in my secret way, and she had a swan almost land on top of her. And if she wouldn't have flinched, I think it would have landed on her feet. It was pretty cool. Her eyes were pretty big.
And those birds are huge too.
Huge,
massive.
birds.
Like Dave this morning, just because of how the sun was hitting, like you'd see these white things fly in the air, and I kind of got the experience last weekend just because I was like, oh, hey, there's geese, and they're like, no, those are swans. And I'm like, so I understood, and Dave's like, here they come. I was like, no, man, those ones are swans. Like, and then you start to pick them out, because when you start seeing them, they are kind of like, they're almost flat in the air, and then all of a sudden it's like they just do like a little tilt, boom. You're like, oh, there they are.
Yeah, it's you spend enough time out here, you start figuring out the wing beats and be able to pick up different birds. But back to the beautiful part of this place, right? Is once we get the house remodeled in 2025, we'll Airbnb it. If you guys haven't been up here with your wives and kids for the Tulip Festival, I brought my wife up here for the first time, and I'm supposed to be a rough redneck waterfowl duck hunting guide, and it was I'm talking fields as big as we were hunting in today, covered in tulips. Covered.
Did that make you feel some way, or what?
Made me feel romantic.
He was like, man, that's pretty.
Supposed to be a rough duck hunting guy.
I am.
Was he getting sentimental about that?
Yeah, I get sentimental about a few things. Yeah,
That's awesome. you got to hold on to that side too. It's important for people to know. That's one thing I experience here too, is the friendliness. It's not a gruff environment. Your partners, Dr. Brian, everybody is super nice. Yeah. And I just normally, like, I come from the guiding experiences I have been fishing guides and stuff, and a lot of times you get on the boat and they're like, don't touch my pole, don't sit down, do this, don't do that, don't get this here, do this, that, like that. Then you do something, they get a lot bent out of shape, So that's my experience with guides in essence, in a nutshell. I deckhanded for a guide for years, and he was not that way. But guide trips I've been on have been that way. So it's just a different experience all throughout. I mean, from walking in the door, from greeting you guys, greeting us, and then how we get to just relax. And now with the family environment, I was already thinking of Kids Hunt Weekend this year, because Sophia's got that 20 gauge, and she's wanting to waterfowl hunt. So I'm like,
Devin has been talking about it too, because he can't really big game hunt because it's during football season.
Right.
It's summertime. Like, he used to go bear hunting with me and stuff. Summertime is in the weight room, and then September, October, November is all strictly football. And
like
it's
6 days a week. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like, the kid's a freak, but he loves the gym too. So I mean, it's good for him. But I was like, before all this, like, so you're going to go turkey hunting with me this year? You think you're going to have time? And he's like, yeah, Dad, I really want to go turkey hunting. I miss turkey hunting. I haven't done it in a couple of years. And I was like, all right. So I'm excited for that. And then I come back last weekend, and he's always asking me how my hunts were, and I was like, dude, that was a turkey hunt on steroids. And he was like, what? And his eyes got all big, because he just loves blast. He likes shooting the shotgun. And I was like, dude,
I'm pretty sure you can shoot a shotgun and waterfowl a lot more than you can a turkey.
Yeah, because it's just one, bam.
Okay.
You're done.
Make sure.
Unless you got two tags and you 2 shots.
Bam, bam. Same bird twice.
Yeah. But I was like, man, it was just a lot of fun, because it's always excitement. There's always something happening. There's always something to do. So, like, when there's downtime, we're up fixing decoys. We're trying to, like, check out everybody's spots, see if there's holes anywhere. And he's just like, Dad, that sounds like a lot of fun. And I was like, dude, we got to get you out. And then my youngest son, he's been wanting to hunt for forever, which he's going to do hunter's ed. I got him online doing it, but the hardest thing is trying to get him on that walkthrough or whatever. Yeah. That's the hardest thing. So we're going to try to figure that out. But he's been wanting to hunt, and he'll hunt with me. He'll do any hunt. He does baseball, but that still leaves, like, the whole year to hunt, because that's kind of like the off season, I guess.
Well, one of the biggest things that got me really into waterfowl hunting is I fished all the time, and my son hates it, which I don't understand because he's never been where he hadn't just caught the mess out of him, right? And so we started hunting when he was probably 10, and it's not just the time we spent in the field, but it's driving to and from.
Oh yeah, that's some of the best conversations.
Yeah, and I didn't have that experience with a dad growing up, you know, and with family, so I wanted to make sure that I was there all the time for Randall. And when I figured out that it was working, we were on our way up here. I think he was 13 or something, and I was giving him a hard time about having a girlfriend. I'm like, dude, you got a girlfriend? He's like, no, I don't have a girlfriend. You got a girl you like? And I said, take her to the movie or something. And he said, I might do that, Dad. He was a little embarrassed about it. And I said, well, just, ask her. And he called her that day, and he said, yeah, she wants to go to the movie. I'm like, okay, cool. Just have your mom buy 2 tickets, and, she can drop you off next week while I'm up here hunting. And he said, oh, no, her mom won't let her go without a chaperone, right? I said, okay, cool. Have Mom buy 4 tickets. We'll sit behind you. And my son looked at me and goes, why can't we sit together?
Oh,
and I'm like, huh? I don't know about you dudes, but when I was 13, the last thing I wanted to do was sit in the same row with my parents at a movie. Right? And that wasn't even in my vocabulary back then, And I told my wife how cool it was. But the funniest part is my wife called me, and she said, we'll find out how much he likes her. So what do you mean? She wants to go to Frozen.
Frozen.
Oh, yeah. And I'm like, I'll go see Frozen. I'm cool with it. I like cartoons. And I told him, I said, dude, this is a test, right? This is a test. You say no, you in trouble. You got to go see Frozen. But I don't want to. It doesn't matter if you want to or not. You got to go.
Yeah.
And that's what waterfowl hunting's done for me and my son. My son, 17, he was up here every Friday after school until his till his winter workouts for baseball started. He's hopefully going to go off and play college baseball this summer, at the end of the summer. But he was up here every weekend. And I didn't have to ask. He just said, hey, Dad, we hunting this weekend? Yeah. I'll be there. I'll get out of school at noon on Friday. What time you need me there? And, I can trust him. Hey, dude, go put the decoys out.
Yeah.
And
he knows what's going on.
Yeah, and it's a special relationship, between us that revolves around what we've done outside.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, number one, it's taught him a lot of responsibility. One more funny story. I brought him and a buddy up. We usually come up here the day after Christmas, and we stay till New Year's Eve. Just me and him and maybe one of his buddies. And it was during COVID, and we were staying in a hotel. And I told him, I said, hey, tomorrow morning I got the boys their own room. And I said, I'm leaving at 5:30. At about 5:37, they called me and said, where you at? And I said, I'm going hunting. Well, what about us? Dude, I told you, be up at 5:30. I'm out. I'll be back in a couple hours. And 5 days after that, they were sitting in my truck at like 5:20.
all it took was the first day.
They weren't missing it again because I was done in like 30 minutes with 7 greenheads. So,
man!
And I wouldn't take them back.
Yeah, that's
because
awesome.
they were late. So
yeah, you got to be on time.
Yeah,
lesson.
All of that stuff is part of what you can do with youth, right? That's why it's so important for me to get young people out hunting. I got countless stories about introducing young women into waterfowl hunting. And it's just, there's a lot of responsibility, like getting up, hard work. I mean, you guys were here last night. I mean, I put out 16 scarecrows yesterday after I built them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they worked
great.
They
worked great.
Yeah, they worked. That was insane.
And so it's a lot of work doing this. So when you get the kids involved at the level we have them involved, they have to learn a work ethic. They have to learn how to get up early. They got to learn how to, go to bed at night. There's days we leave here at 4:30 in the morning. My son's up. He wants to take a shower every morning. Okay, whatever. but I haven't had to go wake him up once all season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's not a lot of 17-year-old kids you can say that about.
No, one of them is my son. I have to flip the bed.
Is Devin 17 now?
No, but I mean he's in his 17th. He's going into it.
Yeah, he's 16.
Yeah.
And that's the
17 at the
message
end
I
of the
want to
year.
get out to the general public. You know, Dave, you and I had the conversation about, you know, we get hate mail all the time when
Yeah.
we run Facebook posts about that. And it's not just about killing birds. There's a lot of lessons to go into it, especially for young people.
Yeah, it's a whole different exposure. And like if you get up or if you don't get up and you miss the morning flight, the birds ain't waiting either.
No.
You know?
No.
So you have
No.
to be there.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not like the bus. If there's a bus every 10 minutes, you know, you missed the first one, now you're gonna be 10 minutes late. You clean missed it. It ain't coming back. It's a train, really. You know, so it's once it's past you, it's it. And
Yeah.
and that carries over into so many different portions of actual life, not just hunting.
And it's just life lessons in general, and then for us, we use those life lessons to be taught outdoors, and they can be used in general life.
Everything, you know,
Yep.
whether it's elk hunting, waterfowl hunting, you got to prepare.
Yep.
You got to take care of your equipment. You got to scout. You know, like I came up here one day with my son, and we were going to go hunt that afternoon. He's like, "But we haven't scouted yet, Dad. Why are we going hunting? We ain't going to kill nothing. We don't go find out where the birds are at." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Dude, I've hunted 5 days in a row. We're good." You know, but he's learned that if you don't prepare, you're not successful. And that's carried over into his school, baseball, everything he does. I attribute to him learning that out here, having to learn how to prepare for life. I hope it works. We'll see.
You know, it sounds like it's worked.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I'm looking
Especially
forward
young
to
minds.
what the future holds here and what you guys have planned.
Well, thank you. We're super excited. We're super excited to have you guys here.
We're appreciative and excited to be here. This is awesome.
Well, it's been a blessing to have you guys here the last couple of weeks. You know, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
And I look forward to next season. We're going to kill a lot of birds.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of stories to tell.
yeah, that's right.
And some not to tell. So
Yeah, probably a few you don't want to tell, especially to the general public. So there's a few practical jokes you'll get pulled into around here that might probably shouldn't be aired on anything.
not even ridiculousness. I mean,
Probably not. No. I can tell you this: don't leave your toothbrush laying around where I can find it.
Oh God.
Davis is
Nah, man, mine's in my
all
bag.
right, we got to cut with that. That's bad.
All right, everybody. Well, hey, thank you for joining us and, just being upon this journey that we are doing with the Ridgeline Hunting podcast and with Ridgeline Hunting, the YouTube channel. And there's a lot to come. I mean, the year just started, and we haven't even really said any of the good news yet. So we're waiting on that.
Before we end, how do people find you? And
They can find us on Facebook,
Okay.
just the Duck Camp.
the Duck Camp on Facebook?
Yep, or our website is theduckcamp.net.
.net.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't even remember.
Okay. Sweet. So we're going to put the phone number in the show notes, and they can send
That is my cell phone number direct.
You'll know when you're talking to Scott. So you'll be like, you don't even ask it to Scott. He'll answer. So, all right. The
All right,
Duck Camp
everybody.
on Facebook and duckcamp.net.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for having us.